We're going to kick it off in the second round of the 2020 NBA playoffs, going off in the Eastern Conference. Kind of look at the predictions, what I had earlier. I did have the Bucks beating the Orlando Magic in 5 games, so I was correct on the win and as many games it did take on that side. For the Miami Heat, for my predictions, I said they would beat the Pacers in 6 games. Let alone, and kudos to the Heat as they went out and they actually swept the Indiana Pacers. But now we're here, everything's lined up. Everyone pretty much expected the Bucks and Heat to meet in the second round. And this is a series I was very excited pretty much to go and watch. As we can kind of see in the regular season, these two teams played against one another, and it was a great matchup. Miami pretty much just blitzed on the Milwaukee Bucks. They have the size, they have the defense, and the shooting. And I knew pretty much the series was going to go deep in the playoffs. We kind of seen the first 2 games. I was going to post this video or make this video a little bit earlier, but the NBA pretty much started on the second round early when there were game 6 and game 7 in the first round. But here we are. I'm still going to stick to my regular predictions, so I'm not going to change anything up. But let's kind of stick on the Milwaukee Bucks side, and then we'll jump into the Heat. For the Milwaukee Bucks, they do have the motivation of Giannis Antetokounmpo, who pretty much got bounced by the Raptors last season. He's looking to pretty much, his goal and what he's trying to get into is represent the Eastern Conference and get to the NBA Finals. Pretty much majority of people have either picked the Milwaukee Bucks to represent the East. There's a few people who thrown around the Boston Celtics, and then probably 1-2% that said the Miami Heat. I've always had my position the Bucks would go out and represent the Eastern Conference. To go a little more deeper in this series, Giannis is going to have to make shots from the perimeter. And I've always stated this in any series, and if he ever wants to win a championship, everything else, he's pretty much just gained the muscle, 20, 30 pounds of it. He's 6'11" as a power forward. He can be able to handle the rock a couple times, get you to the rim. His passing's there, his defense. As we just saw, he won Defensive Player of the Year. But Giannis has to make shots from the 3 and from the outside on the perimeter. Pretty much, for Giannis, he's pretty much a D plus C minus when it comes down to it. You know, his shot looks very slow, and let alone it looks awkward when he shoots. I'm fine with him shooting from the perimeter if you're the Miami Heat, and that's pretty much what they've been game planning on to do. For the Milwaukee Bucks, this is going to be a series that's going to be dependent on Chris Middleton. He can coast for the first couple of series from last season, and then for this against the Orlando Magic, but Chris Middleton's got to give you at least 24 points a game. He's got to average over 20 points a game this series if they want to win this series. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's going to have to give you at least 35 this series as well. The offense is usually profounded on him, and he needs to be clutch in close games. We haven't really seen Giannis. He doesn't have that clutch gene really on him. He's trying. He has the mentality, but it hasn't really been there. But I'll give kudos to their head coach, Mike Budenholzer, who's been a Coach of the Year candidate pretty much with the Atlanta Hawks and now here with the Milwaukee Bucks. But the Bucks don't really have that go-to guy. They're a team that's system-oriented, and that kind of introduces into the Miami Heat. The Heat had the same texture, same weight, but they got dogs, they got rough riders, veterans, and they got shooters out the gym and confidence. I've always stated this, the Miami Heat are a playoff team, and they should stay that same way. We've seen here in the bubble they are 6-0. They swept the Pacers, and the first 2 games they beat the Milwaukee Bucks, pretty much utilizing Giannis to shoot from the perimeter, which Giannis has not been hitting shots at all, and let alone they've been able to close games. Jimmy Butler is a dog. I really don't see him as a true number 1 option to win a championship. I think he has to be your number 2 guy, but Jimmy Butler's pretty much proven a lot of people wrong. Fans out there kind of going into it. Eric Spoelstra is very underrated as a head coach over a decade or so, especially with the big 3 Miami. A lot of people overlooked him, even LeBron James that first season. But Eric Spoelstra and the crew with Pat Riley, they're a veteran team. They know how to get things done, and they have a championship mentality when it comes down to it. Big series for Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson. Very young players at 26 and around 20 years of age. But they got the confidence, and that's the same thing that they instill with the Miami Heat, which I love. The Miami Heat, they're pretty much going to let Giannis shoot threes and from the perimeter. The paint is clogged when you have Bam Adebayo under the rim. So it's going to be tough for Giannis. As of right now, the Miami Heat are up 2-0 in the series. I've said it a couple videos, and before this, I always had the Milwaukee Bucks winning in 6. I still am picking Milwaukee to win the series. I would not be surprised if the Bucks pull a Raptors last season and they win 4 straight. Or maybe they have to win in a Game 7. I know ideally Miami has the better matchup and how they're looking as of right now. I'm not going to follow that trend. I'm going to keep an eye on it. But I know Giannis is going to bounce back in this series. I got the Bucks winning in 6 games. If not, then it would have to be 7 when it comes down to it. Very exciting series. I think this is going to be able to propel the Bucks back to where they were looking at. In the bubble, they haven't looked good at all. It seems like with the Bucks, they need a fan base. They need something to get them up and going. But I trust in Giannis. I think this is the year in the season he gets to the finals. So let's see what happens when it comes down to it. But I got the Bucks in either 6 or 7 games, even though the Heat are still up 2-0.